Hey guys, good day. I'm now at Nio house again, and today we're gonna return the Nio ET5. For more details, stay tuned and watch until the end.
Hey ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the new video of Tetska, and welcome to the rainy Berlin. It's in autumn, it's in October, so this is the weather, the English weather that we normally have. And today we're gonna talk about Nio ET5. I've been driving this car for 2 months and 3,000 kilometers, kind of 3,000 kilometers. Somehow it doesn't really show me like how many kilometers I've done, which is fun. But yeah, so a little bit of update first. ET5 is gonna be returned today, and the reason for that is because I received my company car, and I kind of I'm obliged to drive that car when I'm working, which means like from Monday until Thursday, and because of that I cannot justify the 1,000 euro that I pay monthly for the subscription of ET5. And yeah, so let's jump right in with my drive impression in the last 2 months with Nio ET5 75 kilowatt hour battery pack. So let's start with the good. The first good thing, and I think you guys already see this coming, it just has power and it's quick, 500 horsepower, and 0 till 100 in 4 seconds. And I guess if you watch this video, you already know that it is lower than Tesla Model 3 performance, and that's because ET5 weighs actually 2.2 tons, whereas Model 3 performance weighs at around 1.9, 1.8 tons. So Tesla Model 3 is significantly lighter than this, which is why, you know, physics don't lie. Model 3 is faster to 100. And after driving this car for 2 months, I actually surprise, found out that it's actually quick enough, and I've been using ET5 in the city, which means actually I don't even need that 500 horsepower. But yeah, but that's like the first good stuff about ET5. It's quick, it has power, and the second good thing about it is it has range. So even with the smaller battery pack, it still gets 460 kilometer of range. It depends, of course, on how you drive the car, and that's actually something really good. And third thing that actually I like about this car but I haven't used is actually the battery swap. So I've seen video on YouTube like how it actually works in real world, and it's gonna take around 7 until 10 minutes to swap the battery. And actually you can choose which battery with how many percent of charge that you want to get from the power station, which means it's actually kind of like quite tailored to your needs. So if you know like the power station is around 200 kilometers away from your destination, you can say okay, 60% might be enough or 70% might be enough. Again, depends on how you drive the car. And I think that's also what makes the price of Nio actually very similar to Tesla. And because this one has 500 horsepower, it's kind of like it's actually comparable either to the performance model or I guess like to the long range model, I guess, but not to the standard model, because standard model now you can get at around 40k euro in Germany. which is cheaper than this. So this one costs retail at 47,500, and that's before any discount. And with a little bit of options, we are talking about like better wheels, or I don't know, like another, like, and also the Nomi. So Nomi costs, this guy actually costs an option, I guess between 500 and 1,000 euro. I need to check it again. But with all of the options, we are talking about 50k, which is very near to the price of Tesla Model 3 Performance. And yeah, and I guess like the reason why ET5 is actually more expensive than kind of like, or more expensive. I wanted to say more expensive because in my head I was thinking about the standard Model 3 standard range, but so in fact it's actually almost the same price as Model 3 Performance, even though it's slower and actually heavier. Is because I think they need to get the investment that they made on the power swap station, and it's not cheap. So I've heard the number and figures how much it costs for them to build one power station, and at the moment have 7 power stations, like the battery swap stations in Germany, and it's gonna rise to 9 by the end of this year. But I'm quite optimistic about the numbers because they are doing it actually really fast. So yeah, that's the reason why it's actually cost as much as Tesla. And also, like, one thing that excites me is that power swap station, and that's actually, I also got this car to try out, because it turns out I would return it after 2 months. And one other good thing that I like about this car, and it proves to be something that I really like, is this thing, the dashboard. I don't want to adjust myself to look to the right every time I want to check my speed, which is in Tesla Model 3 was in the iPad. And if you're wondering why am I always comparing this to Model 3, because they are very similar. They are just very similar. The placement of the cameras, the whole structure, like the ducktail at the back, for example, and pretty much almost in every disciplines.
Hello.
Nio is okay. Nomi just try to talk to me. Abrasion. This dashboard or cockpit or smaller iPad in front of my face is actually a nice touch. And as I said before, this car is actually very similar to Tesla Model 3, but with slight difference. And I think like their strategy is to take an example of a very successful EV in the market and try to make it a little bit better. And actually that's a good strategy. That's a good strategy. For example, like in Model 3, you sit a little bit lower than ET5, and if I'm not mistaken, it has slightly less of head space, which in turn make Model 3 it just looks and it is actually lower, which a lot of car guys love. But there's also certain something about ergonomics and about practicality, and I think ET5 is more practical in day-to-day usage. And of course, like Model 3, like I'm not gonna say anything against Model 3. I guess I think it's a very good design EV, and it's just very good, and dare I say it's actually one of the best, if not the best. Yeah, so let's move to the things that they can improve on, things that doesn't really excite me. The first thing, the door. This door, I guess it's actually it doesn't place that well. So every time I get into the car, I always bump my right hip against the door. So that says that the door is a little bit like, kind of like maybe 2 centimeters or something, like a little bit to the front in comparison to the placement of the seat. So that's one thing that I notice. Yeah, so small, very small details. The second thing that I don't really like is actually that guy right there, this guy. And that's actually true what a lot of reviewers say when they drove the prototype of ET5 or ET7. That guy can be a little bit annoying in the sense of I'm talking with my friend and he just butt in and asked like, can you repeat that? And I was like, we're not even talking to you. But then if I want to talk to him, like in the middle of the drive, somehow he reacts differently shortly after the car is started or in the middle of the drive. But in the middle of the drive, sometimes he can be quite insensitive, or maybe it is also kind of like a matter of setting, because when I call him, like, you know, if you have iPhone, you say, hey Siri, and here you say, hey, the name. I don't say the name because he gonna answer me. The level, the volume of the music is not turned down, and I guess I don't know how good he can hear me, but sometimes it just doesn't input. So this can be quite annoying. And to be fair, the system that we have in Mercedes with the Hey Mercedes is a lot better than this one, but this one get kind of like extra point because of the gimmick that it literally has face and eyes, and it makes like slightly kind of like fun animations if you play the music, or if he says like I don't understand you, then he gonna like, you know, then move the head, which is fun. But strictly speaking, on practicality and the like how easy it is to use, it actually lost to, for example, the system in Mercedes. We move on. Things that they can improve on is this interior. Like, you know, like if you see here, I don't know if you can see it or not, like this vegan leather, this is not leather. First thing first, I actually didn't clean it before the return, because they say please clean the outside of the car. Next thing that I don't like about this car is the charging, and I don't mean the speed of the charging, but how you charge and what's gonna happen like in correlation with the whole system. And this is also a matter of setting, so it can be set differently, of course, but I doubt it that anyone gonna turn on the setting just to make the charging easier. So this is the background. This car has the charging point on the left, only on the left at the back, right? And if the charging point, or if the charging station is on the right of the car, first thing first, I need to put the cable around the car, right? And because this car has keyless go as standard, means it also has this sensor that knows if you're leaving the car or if you're coming closer to the car, and open and close the door accordingly. The last thing that you can do to not confuse the system is going around the car, means not leaving the car or not going into the car, which I was doing when I wanted to put the cable to the charging point at the back. And this is what normally happens. So I take my card out and you know, like try to unlock the charging station and plug my cable, right? So when that happens, that takes around 30 seconds until 1 minute. So when I unlock the charging station, plug the cable, it will say like waiting for the car, waiting the cable to be plugged into the car. And in the meantime,
Ja, bitte?
so I just turn off Nomi because it's just annoying. So where were we? So when I plug in the cable and put it around the car, normally the car thinks that I'm leaving and gonna close the car. And because the only way to open the flap is through this center console means the flap is already open, the car is closing, means I can just plug the cable and the charging should start, right? That's what I thought. But more than ever, if that happens, I plug the cable into the car and error gonna came up. So it wouldn't start charging. It's gonna turn red. And when that happens, I need to unplug the cable from the charging station, unplug it from the car, and restart the whole thing, right? And of course, you're gonna say like, oh, but if you knew it, why don't you leave one door open so the car doesn't lock? And this is the problem with us humans. We always forget, and we tend to forget. And sometimes I knew it because, you know, I've been with this car for 2 months. Means that's not really a long time. That's longer than 2 days. But for sure, it hasn't really turned into my second nature to leave one door open so the car doesn't lock, or to keep the key inside so the car doesn't automatically lock. So more than ever, I had to restart the whole process. And normally, if that happened, I need to restart twice, which I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like it's a software thing or something, but it's kind of annoying. Let's move on to the next thing that can be improved.